Hello, my name's Arthur Millner and I'm the specialist in Islamic, Indian, Himalayan and Southeast Asian art at 25 Blythe Road. I'm here today to tell you about one of our auctions which we hold twice a year. Our next one is next week, or between the 8th and 11th of June. And it's an online auction, so you go to our website, which is www.25blytheroad.com, and I'm going to now show you a selection of highlights of the sale. Behind me on the wall is lot 363, which is estimated at 3,000 to 4,000, and it's a considerable rarity. It's embroidery from the Greek island of Naxos, dating from the 18th century. These textiles, they were embroidered basically by amateurs. They were at home as an occupation for ladies, and they produced this extraordinary range of designs, and this is probably one of the most distinctive types and probably one of the best known. But they're all very rare nowadays, and all these crafts, of course, have now been lost. This is lot 311, and the estimate's 1,000 to 1,500, and it's an Ottoman Damascus tile of the type that you would see in the Darwishia Mosque in Damascus. And this one actually comes from an old collection in Germany, the collection of Said Motamet. You can see it's a very massive sort of object. It's much larger than tiles produced in the West, much larger than, for example, Delft tiles. And it's made of an unusual composition called fritware, which is actually remarkably little clay. It's about 10% clay, and the rest of it is a silica composition. And it's got a very gritty, hard feel. The material is very much related to glass. The colours are very bright, and of course this sort of colour doesn't fade because they're mineral metallic oxides which are resistant to fading in the sunlight. So it's ideal for bright colours in the hot desert sun. This is lot 18 with an estimate of £4,000 to £6,000, and it's an image of the Tibetan goddess Simhavatra, dating from the 18th century. She's a lion-headed goddess, one of the Dakinis, who are subsidiary Buddhist deities, and she's dancing while holding a ritual chopper, which is rather like a herb chopper, in her right hand. And she's got very exaggerated features with bulging eyes and large fangs. This is a gilded bronze, and at the back you can see little traces of colouring. Pigments were added to give them very bright colour in the gloom of the monasteries, and there's also little touches of colour in her mouth, just to make her look extra bloodthirsty. But in fact she's a very benign goddess, and the point of her being fierce is to triumph over evil. This is lot 141, sandstone sculpture depicting Shiva and Parvati. Shiva is, of course, one of the most important Hindu deities, and this is a rare sculpture estimated at 6,000 to 8,000. And as well as Shiva and Parvati, we can see they've got the rest of the family in attendance. And down at the bottom here, you can see Ganesha, their son, and on the other side, their other son, Skanda, who always rides on a peacock. At the top, you've got a pair of apsaras carrying garlands, and they're rather like the Hindu equivalent of angels, and they're very often adorning the top of compositions, just adding to the sense of importance of the scene. And there are various other subsidiary deities and devotees at the bottom. This is lot 51, a tanka depicting one of the Buddhist teachers, the Arhat Pindola, and it's estimated at 1,000 to 1,500. It dates from the 19th century and it's in a style which is very much based on Tibetan art. But in fact, interestingly, it doesn't come from Tibet at all. It comes from Buryatia, which is a part of Siberia, which dates back to the 18th century. You'd be quite hard-pressed to distinguish between this and Tibetan painting. I think the main thing really is the way that the Arhat figure, the Buddhist teacher, is depicted in profile, which is something you don't really get very often in Tibetan art. The teacher here is being attended by a devotee who's being taught all the details of the rituals of the Tibetan branch of Buddhism. This is lot 102, what's known as a Hakupatra plaque, and the estimate's £5,000 to £7,000. It's from Andhra Pradesh in southern India, dated 1517. It's a rather interesting object because it was a certificate for travelling players and craftsmen, permitting them to undertake various performances in villages in Andhra Pradesh. And it shows a sculpture being made in a workshop, and you can see all the different stages, and over at the top is the presiding figure of Shiva. You've got a Kirtimukha mask. Lower down you can see masons chipping away at their stone images, which are being produced there and there. On the back, it's got a very, very long inscription in the local language, Telugu, and it does also include the date of the equivalent of 1517 AD. It explains in quite a lot of detail all the rights that the people who've been granted this certificate are permitted to do, and this involves performing in villages.